Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm reviewing Bardwood Grove, a competitive Euro of music making that also has a solo mode, and this review will focus on both. And disclaimer that I got a review copy for this one. In Bardwood Grove, you and other players will move around this map, and you'll be facing off against a bot in the solo mode. This is partially a deck builder. You'll be buying more cards to add to your deck of multiple types. And on most turns, all you'll do is add one card to your little musical line here and discard another card to build up volume and rotate your tracker. This will give you a move value to move around the board, and when you pass your little treble clef, you get to actually resolve all the cards you've built up to activate different locations adjacent to you to earn victory points and to grow your deck to be stronger. Until at the end, you compare how many crystals you've earned as well as endgame scoring you've unlocked and done well with and see who wins the game. So let's get to 5 key things about Bardwood Grove. So first, my number 5 is the unlock structure of the game and the bonus content. So when you get the game, a lot of the cards and even tokens will be in boxes like these, themed after different seasons. And the rulebook gives you multiple options and suggestions for how to unlock these. You can do them very quickly or do it slowly over time. And on the positive side, it's fun to go into these and get new cards and new tokens and new characters. All of that is exciting and cool, and they kind of ramp up the complexity of the game. But on the negative side, all the icon guides, the player aids, they don't take into account the things that are unlocked because you're not supposed to know about them, which means that as you unlock more, they become less and less useful. And also annoying without spoilers, the stone, the special stone type you unlock when you do the spring box, the first one, that one's very easily usable and fun, and I encourage unlocking it as quickly as possible. But the stones you unlock in all the other sets are really niche and rarely come into play, so it doesn't really feel like it's maybe worth the effort to even include them. My number 4 point for the game is the movement and positioning, and this is a bit of a mix. So as I already mentioned, whichever card you discard on each turn will rotate your little tracker here and give you different movement points. And that's certainly a cool decision point, how far you move and how quickly you want to get around to singing and triggering your cards. And the movement itself is sometimes interesting, like you do want to get to certain locations. But in many of my games, competitive and solo, I've found that often it's valuable to just stay in one place and activate similar locations many times in a row. And doing that also lets you spend movement on this track to get discounts on one of the main actions for scoring victory points. So it seems to encourage being stationary a lot. Now, one thing that could change that is challenging other bards. If you're in the same space or near the bot, then they can challenge you. But challenges themselves are pretty weird because in competitive or solo, they often reward both players. So especially like in solo or 2-player, it doesn't really seem to make that much sense sometimes. Now for my number 3 point, I'm going to look at the balance and luck factor in the game. And this is a con for solo, mix for competitive. Let's talk about the solo first. The main way the bot activates is they flip up one card to say how much they rotate, and they flip up another card to show how they move on the board. And some cards have 2 arrows and some have 1. And it is hugely beneficial to the bot when they get 2 arrow cards, and it's really bad for them when they get only 1 because they're getting half as many activations for their turn. And also just in general, you can see my playthrough I posted last week. The bot just feels weak. Even on the hardest difficulty, I've won, I think, the last 3 games I played in a row. So yeah, I think the balance is not great for the solo. Now, as for competitive, there are also elements of randomness, of course, which cards you draw, although you tend to go through your deck pretty quickly, so that doesn't feel too bad. And then which legends come out for endgame scoring, those sort of things. But honestly, there's a lot of mitigation and choice in the random elements of the competitive play, so I don't mind it there much at all, and it gives the game some variety. My number 2 point focuses on the normal and singing turns and the potential for downtime. And this one's kind of more of a mix for competitive play, and then almost a pro for solo because it tends to go a lot quicker. But as I mentioned, on most turns, you'll be putting one card down to build your song, and the other one will control rotation and volume. But then once your wheel rotates enough, you'll get to sing, and you'll be resolving all these cards, you'll be activating locations on the board. And this can take quite a while, especially late game when you're trying to fight for every single victory point. You have all these sound crystals and stuff to do other things with your turn. Though, of course, this gets better as you become more familiar with the game. Now, the solo bot singing turns also have a little bit of downtime, but it's a lot faster because you just resolve a quick little effect for each location they left a flag on. There's no kind of like calculation or strategizing. The only annoyance there is they do have different rules for each level of event and kind of like the early or late game for the bots. So until somebody makes a fan player aid for this, which I expect will come pretty quickly, it can be annoying to look all this stuff up while you're playing solo. But after a lot of mixes, my number 1 point is kind of the main draw of the game, which is the combos of cards and powers. So first of all, the deck building is fun because most cards don't clutter your deck. You get these improv cards, these creature cards, you earn new fans, and none of these stop you from drawing cards. You discard them and immediately get a bonus, and then you keep on drawing. But also, as much as the downtime I mentioned can be bad, the combos on your own turn are great. You'll often, especially late game, have crystals that can give you extra bonuses. You can have one card trigger to give you a bonus that'll fire off another card that'll let you get more out of another card. And the same kind of things with the locations. You can activate this location to get you the thing that lets you do that card, that lets you activate this location. And especially in solo, when you don't have to feel bad that anybody else is waiting for you to take your turn, it's especially enjoyable and a good time. So overall, you might want to check out Bardwood Grove on the competitive side if you're not going to play it at high player counts, or if your group doesn't mind downtime very much, because again, it can be a little bit rough until you get used to the game. And on the solo side, I would recommend this one if you care less about beating the AI and more about what you're doing on your turn, because that remains a blast even with the wonky balance. But if you want to see the solo play in action and judge for yourself, I have a playthrough from the channel from about a week ago. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.